Are you interested in getting into hunting, but you don't really know where to start? In this video, I'm going to give you 5 simple steps to get you going on the path to becoming a hunter, and you'll leave with a better idea of where to go. What's going on, guys? My name's Jeff, and on this channel we're going to be covering all things outdoors, gear related, some general DIY projects such as this camper behind me on my truck, and some fitness and general preparedness things so that you can be an all-around more capable human being. Now, let's get into it. So step number 1 is sort of an obvious one, and that's to get licensed. So before you can go out and hunt, you need to take your hunter's education safety course and pass that, and from there that'll allow you to purchase whatever sportsman package or game package you're going to need for this specific type of hunting you're going to be doing. So go ahead and take that course. I believe it's recognized pretty much at every single state. I'm almost positive it's every state. So no matter where you go, if you're hunting outside of your home state, you have already taken that course and you just need to purchase a license for whatever state you're going to be hunting in. So the hunter's education safety course and the actual hunting license are 2 separate things, but in order to purchase the license, you need to take the hunter's education safety course. So that way you're completely legal and ready to go. And it'll help you familiarize yourself with the US's game management system, some safety stuff. It'll help you dive into whatever your management area department is. Like here in Tennessee, we have TWRA, and you can go on there, you can see limited quota hunts, which is basically they only dole out a certain number of licenses to hunt for whatever area or unit you're in. And then there's some general purpose sportsman packages where, you know, that might cover turkey, big game, small game, and then fishing depending on where you are as well. So go out, get your hunter's education safety, and then when you figure out what you want to hunt, which is step number 2, buy the specific license. So rolling off that into step number 2 is figure out what you want to hunt and then figure out why you want to hunt. So the what is obviously important, so you can figure out specifically what you're going for, where to go for it, and then what you might need, which we'll cover later on. And then the why, I think, is more important because hunting's hard. It takes a lot of persistence, takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of time. And if you don't have a good reason, I think, of why you're doing it, other than you've seen people do it and it looks cool, it's more of a struggle for sure. So just for an example, the reason that I got into hunting, I didn't have anybody in my family that hunted. I didn't really have any friends that did the type of hunting I wanted to do. I did later on, which was helpful. But I wanted to essentially, and this is still the goal, to not purchase meat. I wanted to be able to go out, get my own game animals, put food on my own table, and not have to rely on another system as a way to get my food. So if you figure out your why and you figure out what, that'll make it a lot clearer when you start on what lane you're headed in. Just to start, you can obviously go after everything once you kind of get into it, which I do recommend. And if I could recommend an easy place to start, depending on where you are, it pretty much goes for most states and most places. I would start with turkey. 1, because you can do it with a shotgun, which we'll cover later on. And then to me, it's a good teacher of just general hunting tactics. We're not gonna get too specific into any of that stuff in this video, but turkey's fun. You can sort of walk around, call for them. You can be more active or less active, just depending on how you wanna go about it. And it teaches you a lot, I think, that you can apply to other game animals. And they're tricky, so it's fun. And they're good to eat. So there you go. So figure out your what and figure out why. All right, so you're licensed, you figured out what you wanted to go after and why you want to go after it. So now you need to figure out where. So this is where getting familiar with your wildlife management agency in step number 1 is helpful, because you can figure out what type of land in your area or maybe a couple of hours outside of your area is available for you to go hunt whatever you're trying to hunt. So familiarize yourself with the types of management areas. So right now I'm sitting in Tennessee. I'm on a WMA, wildlife management area. Out west, wherever you are, there's BLM land. And then it helps you pinpoint exactly what is available for you to hunt publicly. If you're hunting publicly, obviously. If you're hunting privately, that's a whole separate story. And you basically just need to deal with, still follow the regulations, but deal with whatever land owner you're dealing with. But for public land, which I'm going to assume people are going to start on public land, figure out where, and then this will help you, again, sort of narrow down exactly what you're going to need to get started and narrow down your tactics and everything like that. So now you got your what, your why, your license, and you know where you're going. So let's go to step number 4. All right, step number 4, and one of my personal favorite topics, is gear. So obviously you're going to need some gear to get started hunting. Now, although I just said this is one of my favorite topics, don't get carried away with this right in the beginning. One, because you probably won't even know what the best gear is because you wouldn't have actually been out there and sort of seen what feels good, what doesn't feel good. And, you know, you don't exactly know what you don't know yet. So, but you do need to figure out what you need, especially if you're dealing with harsher temperatures, for just general safety reasons. So once you know where you're going, that'll help you narrow down the kind of gear that you need. So for example, this is early season. I just finished a day of scouting here in Tennessee. It's warm, and I just have a general lightweight boot, you know, nothing crazy, nothing too warm, which is nice for, you know, I'm not sweating, my feet aren't super hot, I'm not, you know, carrying super heavy boots when I don't need to. But as it cools down, I'm gonna have to make some different changes, you know, layer up a little bit. So figure out where you're going, what time of season, that sort of thing. Figure out what you might need. Like I said, if you start with turkey, you're gonna need a pot call, is what I would recommend. Maybe some sort of owl call or crow call. Again, we're not gonna get super detailed into this. I might make later videos on that. There's certainly people that know much more than me on that sort of stuff. So do your own research outside of this, but figure out what gear you might need. There's a couple of apparel brands that I personally recommend. So I like Firstlite. I like their base layers. I'm wearing their shirt, their pants. Sitka makes good stuff, and honestly, like Bass Pro, the home brands at Bass Pro, Cabela's is all pretty good these days. So I don't think you can really go super wrong. But obviously, the more intense climate you enter into, the more detailed you need to be, and the more careful you need to be with your clothing so that you don't freeze, basically. But yeah, the reason I suggested turkey initially is because you can get a shotgun generally for fairly cheap. If you're not interested in that, you want to go straight to bow hunting or rifle hunting, that's perfectly fine too, obviously. But shotguns are pretty diverse. You can go for turkey, you can go for ducks, you can go for small game, you can go for other sorts of birds. You can even go for deer if you use buckshot or something like that. You could. So yeah, figure out the sorts of gear that you need. At a minimum, I would suggest some sort of camo, not absolute. You know, our grandpas used to hunt in red flannels and jeans, so don't get too carried away, but you need some sort of camo, some sort of all-weather sort of pants, I would suggest. That'll get you going, you know, when it's a little warmer, and then as it cools down, you can sort of layer up. And then boots, I would be more specific on your climate. So if it's hotter, get a nice lightweight, comfortable, protective boot. If it's colder, obviously get a boot that insulates a little bit better so your toes don't freeze. But yeah, get started on the gear. We'll cover much more gear later on in this channel, but think about that sort of stuff ahead of time also, so you can kind of plan it out and, you know, divvy out your purchases so you're not making big purchases all at once. It'll also help you know what you're saving for. So yeah, step number 4, figure out which gear you need. So step number 5 is another obvious one, but one that maybe people might not think about if they feel like they're not ready to do it yet, is just get out there. You don't have to have a hunting license or your hunter's education, safety, or anything like that to just go explore the public land around you. There's some dates where things are closed off during season for safety reasons, but generally it's open to the public pretty much all year round, depending on where you are. So just get out there, get familiar with the land, go hike, go explore, go drive around, figure out where you'd want to park or where you'd want to go. This is especially helpful if you need to save up for a shotgun or a bow or whatever, and you're like, dang, I don't want to wait that long. Just get out there. You don't have to. go learn. That's what the majority of hunting is you just are out there getting a feel for the land, getting a feel for the animals, how they move. So don't wait for that. This could actually be step number 1, but I'm putting it at the end to really emphasize it. Just get out there. You don't have to wait for any of this stuff to get familiar with where you're gonna go to explore, especially if you're not familiar with the outdoors, you haven't been out there much. Just get out there, go on hikes, get a feel for it, get a feel for the sounds, get a feel for how things move, and just start to explore. It's very fulfilling. It's very, gives you some good adventure. So yeah, step number 5, get out there, get into the woods. All right, just to add on to that step number 5, because it just kind of hit me after I stopped recording. One of the things that I love to do, especially like during scouting seasons, but anytime basically, is I have a trash bag usually in the back of my truck. And luckily this isn't a huge problem where I hunt, which is great. People are taking care of the land. But as you're out and you're exploring, you're walking the trails, people leave trash and water bottles and stuff all the time. And I personally just selfishly hate when I see that stuff because I want to feel disconnected. I want to feel like I'm out in the woods, in nature, and a water bottle over on the side of the trail is just a reminder that somebody's been here, and I hate that. So I always pick it up, stick it in my pocket, make a little pile maybe on the trail edge so that when I'm heading back, I can pick it all up and dump it in the trash bag in my car. But that's sort of actually like a fun, in a weird way, fun thing to do if you're not just hunting. You can go out, explore, get a feel, and then just pick up trash as you go. It feels like you're actually doing something. So that's nice, and something I recommend for everybody regardless. Just keep a trash bag in your truck, pick up some stuff at the trailhead, toss it, just clean up, the outdoors a little bit, and that way things won't get shut down, and you can just, respect nature, respect the animals, and keep things clean how they're supposed to be. So yeah, that's a little sidebar on step number 5, but you'd be surprised at how, kind of fun that actually is when you're out just picking up trash in the woods, as like a sort of hunting adjacent thing. So yeah, I just want to add that on. All right, so I hope that by now getting started in hunting feels a little less daunting. Like I said, this video is not all encompassing of every single tactic and detail and everything like that. This is just for the people that just need to know where to start. That's the shoes that I was in. I didn't have anybody in my family that hunted. I didn't really have any friends that hunted, so I genuinely didn't know what the first step was when I got into hunting. So I just did a ton of researching, and I just hope to condense that into this video. So by now, you know exactly what you need to go do next. And it'll all start to make sense. I promise it's not complicated. We have the best system in the world in the US, and you getting involved will keep it that way. So just get out there, get started. You were created to do this. You're much more capable than you think. Just get out there and get after it.